Hello guys, welcome to my new video, and today we'll be talking about my experiences doing a healer challenge. Now first of all, full disclosure, I did not get to complete this challenge. I'm still missing certain things on my discipline, Holy Priest, but I didn't get invited into the beta access, Shadowlands or Alpha access, and I was feeling quite down, and honestly, my desire to push or even play the game has kind of evaporated. But I decided to finish the video anyways because generally speaking, I get so many questions about my experiences while pugging as a healer, and I decided to do a challenge, and this is the rules to a challenge. Pushing all of my healers to at least 3k IO, and I basically did that with the exception of Priest. Making sure that the only dungeons that I do are PUGs. How do I say it? Not everyone's organized, not everyone's the best player. There's going to be mistakes, there's going to be additional healing needed. And also, I never actually joined the Discord, or there was never an option to join the Discord. It's not really a rule, but again, if you don't like voice communication, I never did that anyways. So generally speaking, this was a challenge I did over the last 2 weeks or so. So this is my experiences. We're going to be talking about the healer that I found the easiest to pug with, the healer that I found to be, or how do I put it, the most fun. Again, very subjective. You can agree or disagree, leave a comments below and things like that. And if you enjoyed the video, please do subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Even easiest tanks to heal. I'll talk about things like that, also the dungeons. So generally speaking, my experiences as a healer in PUG environment doing 20 plus keys. So first of all, let's go and look at the dungeons that I found to be the hardest to PUG. So first of all, every single healer that I did this challenge on, and it's basically everyone, had 3 keys in general that were really annoying to PUG, or at least the ones that are delayed the last. So first of all, we're talking about Siege of Borealis. Siege of Borealis, for people who don't know, is very different for Alliance side versus Horde side. For Alliance side, the first part is jumping over water. And believe it or not, even at 20 plus keys, people fail this. People fail this and leave the key instantly. This can happen even at higher keys and things like that. So generally speaking, Siege of Borealis, I felt like the depletion rate, if you look at websites like Subcreation and stuff like that, any given week, and look at the completion rate of Siege of Borealis, it's usually the lowest for any given week. Meaning the siege needs some kind of work. It's just too hard for your average PUG to deal with the spotter. Again, Siege of Borealis in an organized group can be insanely good, where you deal with the spotter, use spotters to kill off all the mobs. You know, with organized group, it's insanely fun and interesting. In a PUG environment, this becomes a nightmare. And honestly, this was really annoying to PUG for me, and it took me a while to get a decent key on this. Then Shrine of the Storm. Now, Shrine of the Storm is another key that requires some sort of team management. And again, if you join a PUG group, if you join a group that doesn't have Discord, the second boss is really annoying on Tyrannical Week because of the interrupt rotation. You need to make sure people interrupt. If they don't, you possibly will die. Even the third boss is kind of annoying because a lot of people try to do fancy tactics where you have to go in the water. If you're forced to do a tactic that you have never done before, and 50% of the time the person will just die. And I feel like you don't really have to do these fancy mechanics. A lot of the times you can just do it normal way and you'll have a better chance of success, and people were kind of memeing about it. So Shrine of the Storm was really annoying, Siege of Borealis, and Tol Dagor. Tol Dagor was more annoying because of the design, not actually that it was hard. I have to mention Temple of Citralis first boss. I have to mention. This boss in PUG scenarios caused me way more issues than I thought. There is a chance of getting comboed and getting one shot, especially if you don't interrupt one of the bosses. You need a ranged interrupt. I think you can do this in melee, but it's more annoying. But you need that interrupt because otherwise you can get comboed by 3 different abilities and die. And this happened so many times where basically the run ended at the first boss in Temple of Citralis. So these are my dungeons that, generally speaking, across all the characters, had a very bad time with in terms of pugging environment, in terms of getting a good group going. So let's go to the healers that I feel were the most fun. So first of all, I want to talk about 3 healers mainly. 3 healers, and I feel, again, there isn't a healer that I hate. I genuinely really enjoyed every single spec in Mythic Plus, and believe it or not, at this key level plus 20s, whatever, the difference between the healers really doesn't matter. I think this video kind of showcases that you're capable of doing any of these let's say, hierarchies with any healer that you want. You can do 20 keys with Holy Priest and do no damage whatsoever, and you probably will still time the key. You don't have to min-max at this level. That's 100%. The difference between the healers is noticeable, but it's not noticeable enough to deplete the key at this level. So keep in mind. So the most fun healers, again, I've always had to mention Resto Druid. Resto Druid in my eyes, Mythic Plus is one of the most complete healers. I really enjoy the DPS aspect. Keep in mind, I'm a DPS healer. I've really converted myself into DPSing. So I really enjoy the kitty form. I enjoy Moonfire, Sunfire, putting hots. I have to say that in terms of the complete rotation, Resto Druid felt really, really nice. And I guess it kind of shows because in Shadowlands, they're not really changing a whole lot. So Resto Druid is probably going to be something similar we'll see with Feral Affinity and Balance Affinity, how that turns out. Then I have to talk about Discipline Priest. I think Discipline Priest is really, really fun. I think Discipline Priest is an excellent healer in terms of rotation, in terms of enjoyment. Again, to some extent, Discipline is probably is a healer that's the most affected by affixes like Grievous Bursting and things like that, where all of a sudden you pick different talents instead of Schism. You go Shadow Covenant, you go different playstyle, you become more defensive, and all of a sudden Discipline Priest becomes really boring to play. So the offensive Discipline Priest is really fun, and the defensive one is kind of boring in my eyes. So in certain weeks, Discipline Priest is one of the most favorite healers, and on other weeks, it's the healer that I dread playing. So I don't know where to place Discipline in this rotation, but the healer that I had the most surprise in terms of fun was Restoration Shaman. So I've been running versatility build for a decently long time now, and I had a lot of fun on Resto Shaman. First of all, I want to say that Resto Shaman can really kind of carry groups, man. Shrine of the Storm is Resto Shaman's carry dungeon. You can purge, you can interrupt, you can do an insane amount of damage on the last boss, like insane amount of damage with triple igneous. It is so strong. The fact that you can interrupt as Resto Shaman brings a lot of utility to the group that I feel most people underutilize, but you can really carry a group with interrupts. You can really carry a group with your DPS or single target priority DPS. Again, there are downfalls. Resto Shaman's AoE is non-existent beyond 3 targets. It is a meme. Healing on the move is really, really annoying if you don't have Spirit Walker's Grace. And sometimes you won't have Spirit Walker's Grace. The fact is that if a tank gets about, like, how do I put it? With versatility build, with Spirit of Preservation, with Turn of the Tide, Azeroth traits, your healing surge crits for like 400k. Depending on the HP of the tank. So basically, if a tank can survive, let's say tank gets hit like to 10%. If a tank can survive for at least 1 more second, depending on global cooldown, you're gonna do some awesome burst healing. But the fact is that maybe you have to move. Maybe you don't have Spirit Walker's Grace. Maybe you can't use your healing surge at that given moment. And your HOTS or your filler abilities, they're not really gonna do anything in terms of saving a tank. It's all about that healing surge, and healing surge requires you to stand still and cast. So that's the little disadvantage. But generally speaking, I really had a lot of fun with Resto Shaman. Honestly, in Mythic Plus scenarios, way more fun than I thought it would. So let's go to the easiest and best healer for PUGs. And I guess people know this already. I guess it's not a big surprise, but I have to say Restoration Druid has to be the easiest or the best healer to poke these kind of keys. And we're talking about 20 plus range. We're talking about, again, poke groups with no Discord, maybe not exactly the best organization. I have to mention this. Restoration Druid with a heavy mastery build, with a bit of haste, masterful expedient, has to be the most efficient healer in Mythic Plus. When you're able to stack multiple HOTS, when you're able to maintain multiple HOTS on a person, your mastery kicks in, your healing kicks in. And the amount of healing that you can output with relative ease is absolutely insane. I don't think it's matched by any other healer out there besides maybe like a Holy Paladin on wings. So Holy Paladin with cooldowns is insanely strong, but the cooldowns end. Resto Druid with heavy mastery build can continuously pump insane amount of healing. If you go an insane amount of mastery stacking, which quite a few Resto Druids already do. Again, I know the versatility build is there for really high keys, but heavy mastery build has to be the most efficient, mastery enhanced, has to be the most efficient healing or a healer in the game. And again, the second healer is going to be Mistweaver Monk. And Mistweaver Monk, I had a lot of fun doing keys. It is a very strong healer. It is a very strong beginner's healer. Fist weaving is a little bit more complicated to play. The stat priority for Mistweavers is a bit all over the place. Some people stack a bit of expedience, a bit of versatiles, gushing wounds, TDs, all over the place type of deal. But the single target healing with Soothing Mist, Enveloping Mist, Vivify combo is unmatched again. It's just very strong, has no cooldown. The big downside of certain healers, for example, Holy Paladin Flash of Light can actually feel really weak if you don't have Infusion of Light procs. So this is the reason why I use Spirit of Preservation and things like that to make it stronger. But Mistweaver single target is always strong regardless of procs. All you have to do is Soothing Mist, Enveloping Mist, and Vivify, and all of a sudden any single target fight, and there's a lot of, like King's Rest. I feel Mistweaver is very strong in PUG scenarios because King's Rest is all about that single target, your first boss, your second boss, your third boss. There's single target mechanics where you need to burst down or heal a person, single person, for a lot of healing. And Mistweavers, it just shines there so much. Don't get me wrong, Holy Paladin can pop things off and things like that, and it makes it really strong. But if you look at the pure throughput for those fights for King's Rest Dungeon, Mistweaver just comes out as this god single target healer, and it's really strong. I feel Mistweaver is a very solid character to poke. The reason I don't include Holy Paladin here is because I do feel you need to play cooldowns. You need to know when to use cooldowns. The fact is, if you're about to pull a big trash bag as a Holy Paladin, and you don't have cooldowns, you don't have Holy Avenger, you don't have wings, your IT hasn't procced in ages, and you might feel weak without those cooldowns. Like I mentioned, Flash of Light feels really weak if you don't have Infusion of Light proc from Holy Shock crits. So there is disadvantages to Holy Paladin. It's mainly about managing your cooldowns. Mistweaver, you don't have to do that. Resto Druid, you don't have to do that. Your continuous healing is always strong. Holy Paladin healing during wings is like giga strong, but outside of wings, it's pretty weak. So if you mismanage your cooldowns as Holy Paladin, you're not gonna have a good time. So that's why I don't include Holy Paladin here. For me, easiest and best poke healers, Resto Druid, Mistweaver. So now let's go and finish up the video with some of the easiest tanks to heal. So first of all, I have to mention this. This is all about PUG groups. There is going to be insane players who make these tank classes insanely good. But I do not, in my experience, do not like to PUG with DK tank and Prot Paladin. There's reasons why. So first of all, generally speaking, a good blood DK is going to be an amazing tank that requires no healing. First of all, you have to remember that DK's HP is like insane, and their self-healing is insanely strong. A good blood DK is always going to beat, depending, is always going to beat the healer in overall healing. A good blood DK. Because generally speaking, your mitigation is relatively weak, and you can take such big chunks of damage from your 1 million HP pool or even bigger. And a healer like, for example, Discipline Priest, your Shadow Mend is not really gonna do a whole lot of healing on your HP. So a Blood DK is a type of tank where personal responsibility is the key. The healer is there just to throw in, how do I say it, defensives. Your Iron Bark, your pain suppressions and things like that. Too much personal responsibility. So if you come across with a Blood DK that is not that great, not that good geared, or doesn't know how to exactly play the class, you're gonna suffer insanely. You're gonna suffer so bad, and people are gonna be looking at you as like, what are you doing, Mr. Healer? Why aren't you healing this Blood DK? But at the end of the fact, it's more of the Blood DK's responsibility to stay alive than any other tank. And that's why I feel in PUG scenarios, you have a high chance of coming across of someone who's not all that amazing, and it's going to be really hard to keep that person alive. And the reason why I included Prot Paladins here is because, again, I came across a lot of really good Prot Paladins, and I've had a very good time doing Mythic Blue skis, but at the end of the day, they are, how do I say it, Shield of Righteousness runs out, they can get one shot, or they can spike so much. I feel Prot Paladin spikes so much in Mythic Plus dungeons, it's actually insane. I generally prefer every other tank than a Prot Paladin because it just gives me mini heart attacks. Not like a Blood DK, like a good Blood DK can really self-heal themselves, but a Prot Paladin can definitely get one shot on certain situations depending on the key. Again, if you play with a good Prot Paladin, it's going to be less of an issue, but generally speaking, this is my findings. PUGing Mythic Plus as a healer. I hope this video was okay. Again, The favorite healer part is super subjective. A lot of the stuff is mainly aimed at 20 keys, 20 plus keys or something along those lines. I didn't complete the full challenge. I still have to do some things with the Discipline Priest. But I did few keys and this is my findings. Let me know who's your favorite healer. Again, it's really important to know that I don't hate any healer in Mythic Plus environment. I actually find that healers or the enjoyment of each healer spec in Mythic Plus is relatively close. If I had to narrow it down, this is the list that I would include. So thank you guys, and I'll see you in my next guide.